Hey everybody. This video is to show how I go from a blocking like this
Kindness! Kindness!
to a spline pass like this.
Kindness!
I hope it helps. I hope it's useful information. And here we go. The first thing I generally do when I'm starting to spline, going from step mode, is obviously changing my key mode to curve fit. And in this phase of it, I'm just grabbing all the keys up and down the body, usually starting with the pelvis, going up the spine through the head, just grabbing all these keys in a shot and hitting 3 or hitting the smooth key, the tangent button or the flat tangent button, and just ensuring that the curves are flowing real nice and smoothly. And I might sometimes, occasionally, like I am here, putting the spine 2 on locking the rotation, which it makes it a little easier to keep track of where the head is, where the upper body is. So just in case I move the body or rotate the body, it doesn't, it, it only, the body, the spine will stay in world space and not rotate with the pelvis. I like to do that with the spine 2 or the head mostly. So in this point, I'm just making sure that the curves are nice and smooth, that there's the tangents, the top of the tangents or in the middle, there's no overshoots of the curve. You'll see sometimes as the curve goes into a key, it kind of shoots over it, over the curve, and doesn't flow real nice. There's a little hitch in there. I'd like to smooth those out one by one. It can be a little tedious doing it this way, but it's the way I just have always worked and ensure that each body part is going to be nice and smooth and easy to manage. Uh, you might see a lot of keys on these. I think every body part is keyed on all these frames. That every body part is keyed, and then I might later on in polish might start moving things around or deleting keys on individual body parts if it warrants it. But at this point, I'm just making sure the curves are smooth, that the tangents are what I want them to be. If it's at a top or a bottom of a curve, I like to put it on flat just so that the curve doesn't overshoot and I know exactly what the body part is doing in my head. When I look at the curve, I can visually see what the body part is doing. And once I get through the body with a quick spline, I'll go up and down the legs. If the legs are in the shot here, obviously I didn't need to, so I just went straight for the clavicles, the shoulders, and the arms. Just give them a quick spline. I'm not really focusing on polish at this point. I'm just getting the curves to look smooth, and then I will get into pushing around keys, moving them around the timeline, or adding some harshness to the timing, whatever the shot calls for. So as I'm working through up and down the body, I'm always playing it back. I'm always looking at what each individual body part is doing, what the head is doing, making sure the arc is the head, the nose is traveling on is a smooth one that you can track where the nose is going so that it's a smooth arc, where the hands are, make sure there's no the curves, there's no like sharp abrupt movement out of the smooth curve unless that's specifically what you're going for. Now that things are all splined, I start to get into like how can I push things? How could I push that thing? Because it might feel a little flat and like it lost some energy once you've splined everything. I always have that feeling after going from a nice blocking pass to spline. Like every animator has that feeling like there's something missing from this shot, that it lost some energy to it, and now you got to kind of get that back into it. You got to add the energy and push some of these poses, add some overshoots and overlapping to get that energy and loose feeling back into your shot. So here I'm going up. I like to start up and down the spine and the pelvis to take these curves and push them up and down. Just a lot of it is just me feeling it out up and down the timeline. Like, okay, can this go up a little higher? Can this go down a little bit more? Can the chest start to rotate down a little bit before the body starts to go down? Just adding a little bit of interest, and you're getting into the polished part of the project. The head is a really good place where you can find a lot of loosen it up, because you'll find that all of the spine and the head is rotating at around the same time, like same amount of Y rotation. Can breaking up the head so that it rotates a little bit later than the torso, so that it's all not turning at the same time. It's turning at the same amount. Uh, we break we break it up. I add a little bit of X down rotation so that the head is rotating down as the body comes up, adding contrasting motion into the spine and the head, breaking it from the character up a little bit, stretching the head as the body comes up. Like as the body starts to come down, the head goes up here. Just doing that in general with up and down the body. You can also break it up so that the hands later on are going down at a different time from the head. Just making sure that everything is broken up and nothing kind of hits at the same time. The shoulders or clavicles bones are also a great way to add flexibility and make it feel not so stiff, especially adding a lot of translation. Don't be afraid to move the the shoulders up and down, moving it in towards the body to scrunch as you're rotating it up to really get the shoulders nice and tight, like I am doing here up against the head, to really condense the body down and then stretch it out as he goes from up to down, getting the shoulders involved, getting the whole body involved so that it doesn't feel quite so stiff because a lot of 3D animation can feel stiff because a lot of the body isn't getting involved in the movement of the character. As I'm doing this pass, I might just start moving keys around in the timeline to like I want the shoulders to go up a couple frames earlier and then hold there and then move the last key before it starts to go down. I delay that a frame or two, move it up and up and down just to break the shoulders up that way as well. So while I have the second viewport open with the work camera just floating around above the character, I'm mostly working at the shot camera. That's what's in the shot is what's most important, but I might just glance over at the working camera to see like if if the elbow is not looking right, I'll just see what is the elbow doing over there, or do I need to move the hand forward in X or so just to get the shoulder to look right in the shot or the elbow to look right in the shot. I'm really focusing in on his left hand just for these just few frames here, because I really want to make sure that the motion curve that the hand is going on is smooth, that the hand is staying up for as long as possible, and then it just whips down and the fingers drag behind. So I'll even get to focusing on the fingers, like very focus in very much on the fingers. Now I just give the face a quick spline pass like I did for all the other body parts, but I just super quick get through the face stuff. Sometimes, like I do here, I will root a body part to the world. Like in this case, I rooted the rig spine 2 into the world node so that both position and rotation are locked to the world. So anything beneath that body part, like the pelvis, if I translate it down, you'll see the body stretch. And this is a good way to get overlap and really stretch the body out. I'll do that a lot as I'm getting into the polish phase, because now I'm starting to not worry so much about what the curves are doing, but just what's happening on the screen. And I'll just really start to mess with the curves now and not really care about if it's flowing nicely. It's just how it looks, how does it feel? And I like to do that a lot, mostly with the spine too, and I'll do that with the head as well. Just lock them in the world, just so I can get a lot of stretchiness in the character. So here I'm just really looking at the fingers, what they're doing, each individual one. Because during this section where he's coming down really fast, I want the fingers to reflect the action. And if they're spread out as they come down real quick, they won't reflect the action that's happening. So I tighten, making sure the fingers are close together so that they're not spread out. So that when it goes down, you see this the lengthening of the. It's almost like a blur, like a bit of a smear happening. And I will even go in and translate the fingers upward eventually as his hand is exiting the screen. But I want the fingers to you kind of like you feel them kind of whip around, but or stretch out, but you don't necessarily see it because it's happening so fast. And you can always go back to body parts that you keep going back and forth. Now I'm going back to the shoulders and seeing how I can push the overlap in them. Just keep continually pushing. I might have parented, locked the hands to the shoulders now, so that if they move, then the hands come up and out. So a lot of times it helps me to connect the two, connect a lot of these rigs. The body parts can they can feel like they're just separate from one another. You want them to feel connected ultimately, but not necessarily moving at the same time. So I'm always messing around with locks and locking the hands to the shoulders, or locking the shoulders to the torso, or and then un locking the head to the world. Just constantly, just moving from body part to body part, just keeping an eye on anything that catches my eye. Like that's not flowing correctly. So this is one of my favorite things about Source Filmmaker is the motion editor. Here you can take the curves and add procedural jitteriness like I'm doing here to the rotations of the hands just to get automatic jitter and shaking. It's so easy to do this. It's so easy to edit the amount and then smooth it out. No, that's too much. You could then completely erase it and start over. But it's pretty easy also to bake it down and then completely mess with what you're doing. So be sure to save often when you're doing this, because sometimes you can get less than desired results. But I really love to, like in times like this, during that hold when he's just so frustrated. Just add a little bit of shakiness or a lot of shake. Depends. I wanted to get a lot and then smooth it down, and then you can move the keys when the motion data is cooked down onto your keys. It gets real easy to add any complex motion that would otherwise be you'd have to key in by hand. Now towards the end, I do a quick pass, polish pass on the face, making sure that the eyes and the mouth are broken up so that there's some separation between their movements. Like the eyebrows will begin to go up before his mouth opens, or just so that there's and to make sure that the face is connected. That when the mouth opens up, you see a little bit of a pull on the nose. But again, make sure that it's not happening at the same time. There's maybe a slight delay, just so that the face feels nice and flexible. I'll mostly move keys around for the entire lower face region, just to get the shapes hitting at this as where I want in the lip sync, and then I might go focus in on the opening control or the narrow wide control, just to focus in on the shapes, make sure that they're the phonemes or the shapes reflect what the sounds are coming out of his mouth. Typically, I add save the face polish for last, but I'm always going in and polishing the body, everything until I feel like it looks good. But in reality, you can polish these things forever and ever. But to save your sanity, if it looks good enough to you, then you can call it. And I felt like this was around a good time to stop for this, because then you're really getting into the noodly, really polishy bits. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful.